Hey, it's John Nemo. So, wanted to talk about an email I just got, and then I wrote like an 8,000 word response. So, okay, it probably wasn't 8,000 words, but it really set me off on something that I see happening time and time and time again. And I felt like rather than just sharing this situation one to one with this person that reached out to me, I thought, man, this would make a really good podcast episode because this is something that I see so many people struggling with, including myself, when it comes to business and lead generation and sales and picking the right vendors. So to kind of set the stage, somebody reached out, and this is a conversation I've had so many times. They reached out to me about LinkedIn lead generation. And they typically, the way that our process works, obviously, is similar to what I talk about all the time is we give you free content. I have whole books and training videos and all kinds of things. And then if someone's interested and wants to learn more about our done for you services, then, we have a whole page on our website about working with us and all that. And then if they still want to learn more, then there's a type form they fill out. And what I've really learned over the years is qualifying is key. So before you kind of just give yourself up and just jump on the phone with anyone who says they're interested in working with you, I've learned through, probably at this point, thousands of sales calls, what the key things are that I want to know ahead of time before I talk to a prospect. There was a time earlier in my business where if anyone said, yeah, I'm interested in working with you, I would jump on the phone. I would, jump in the car, race across town, have coffee. And I learned over the years, oh, wait. Like just because someone says they want to work with you, you got to qualify them first. And so one of the great things about the internet, of course, is you can really pre-qualify people pretty quickly and painlessly with these type forms. And that's just an online form people fill out. And so one of the things that I ask in that form, and there's a whole strategy behind the type form to make sure that I'm bringing the right people on the call. One of the issues is that I've come up with, again, and if you're looking to like, how do I build a type form or what should I put in there? Just reverse engineer your sales calls. You look back at your sales calls and all the reasons they fail, and then download a list of those questions and put them into a type form. So for example, one of the reasons sales calls failed often in the past for me was people would say, well, I'm just exploring. This isn't super urgent. I'm just gathering information. I'm early in the process. So I put something in the type form that said, what stage are you in, right? Are you just exploring? Is this on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being my hair's on fire and I need leads today? 1 being I'm just kind of poking around. Where are you 1 to 10? Because if someone says they're a 10, I know they're in pain. They want to act quickly. They want to move forward. If they're a 1, that might not be worth getting on a call because they're just kind of poking around, exploring, and I can give them a bunch of free content to educate them and show them how it works. So that's one example. Another example would be, oh, you know what? We did this whole sales call for an hour. Now I've got to go talk to my business partner who I didn't tell you I have, or now I've got to go talk to my spouse, or now I've got to talk to my, investment person or whoever it is. So I put a question on the type form. Are you the sole decision maker for your business? And if they say yes, great. Next question. If they say no, another question pops up. Who else needs to be on this call? So that way, if they have partners or if the spouse needs to be involved, because this is a high ticket engagement with us, we can get all the decision makers on one call. So those are examples of how I kind of frame these type forms. And another objection that came up, and that leads into the topic of this podcast episode, is, well, I've worked with other LinkedIn agencies in the past to generate leads, and it didn't work. And then I'm coming into the call with you, John, with all this baggage. I'm super skeptical. I've hired other LinkedIn agencies. It didn't work. What makes you any different? Why would you be any better? What would you really do that they didn't try? And I don't want to pay you unless you produce, because I've been burned before. I've paid other agencies up front. I got nothing. I'm only going to pay if you bring me a lead. I'm only going to pay you if I make a sale from a lead you bring me. All these different things, all this baggage comes in, correct? So again, I put something in the type form that basically says, hey, have you worked with other LinkedIn agencies before? Yes or no? And if they say yes, I'll say, okay, are you still working with them? Yes or no? Because obviously if you're still working with a LinkedIn agency and you're reaching out to me for a LinkedIn agency, something's off. Like you're obviously not happy with them, or you're poking around or whatever. So basically, are you still working with the agency? Yes or no? Or how did it go with that agency is another question I have. And this person wrote in, yes, I've worked with a LinkedIn agency in the past. How did it go? Terrible. I paid them a ton of money. I got terrible results. And then later on, another thing I've learned from these sales calls that I put in this type form. So again, the beautiful part about this whole strategy that I'm explaining to you is all this happens before I ever give up my most precious asset on earth, which is my time, my one-on-one time. You should be viewing it the same way. I would argue if you've got a wide open calendar and people can meet with you anytime, anywhere, and they don't have to be qualified at all, that's a huge red flag on many fronts. Now, I know depending on your business model, maybe that's okay. Maybe you are able to do quick 10-minute, 15-minute calls where you can quickly qualify people and run them through. I'm a big believer. I would much rather overqualify and have far fewer calls than kind of go through, a higher volume of calls and find a lot of people that weren't qualified. They're tire kickers. They can't afford it, whatever it is. For me too, it just saves a lot of mental energy and emotional anguish of like, oh man, I poured my heart and soul into that call for an hour. It turns out they have 2 business partners. They don't want to invest until 2035 and blah, 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 blah. But they really like me and they'll think about it. Like, you don't want to be there. So again, one of the things I would say is if you have too wide open of a calendar, if it's too easy to book time with you, if they don't have to do any qualifying, also too, people look at that and go, well, you must not be that successful. You must not be that busy if I can literally book time with you right now in 15 minutes. There's a great analogy my business coach taught me when he was first starting out as a realtor. And now he's a business coach, but he started as a realtor. And he was just laying around on the couch watching soap operas. He didn't have any clients. He was kind of struggling. And somebody called him and said, hey, I want to meet with you. We're looking for a realtor. And his girlfriend at the time, future wife, was like all excited, like, my God, a lead finally. And he goes, yeah, that's great. I'm pretty jammed up this week. How about Thursday? I can meet with you Thursday from 10 to 11 a.m. Otherwise, it's going to be tough to squeeze in with me. And the person's like, wow, okay, well, yeah, sure. I really want to get going, but yeah, I'll wait till Thursday because this was like a Monday. And he hangs up and his, wife, girlfriend, future wife is like, what are you doing? You're laying here watching Sally Jesse Raphael or Jerry's or whatever it was, right? Some dumb TV show. He goes, if I act like I can just at the drop of a hat meet him right now, they're going to think I don't have any clients and I'm not busy and I'm not successful. And she's like, you don't have any clients. You don't have much sales. He's like, yeah, but leverage and authority matter. Like even then he knew, like they want to feel like, oh, I'm working with a busy, successful agent that's got a lot going on and they can't just meet me at the drop of a hat. And so I always remembered that lesson. And of course, he went on to be this insanely successful real estate agent. Now he's this super successful business coach. His clients include like Disney and Google and DreamWorks and all these huge companies. And then people like me, right? Which is awesome that I get access to him. But that was a great story from him where he's like, you need to have that leverage. You need to have that authority. Like, I'm not just going to meet with you at the drop of a hat. I'm busy. You've got to come to me. You've got to work around my schedule. And even he told me a great analogy recently where my business coach wanted, to get an even higher level coach for himself. And he wanted to meet with a guy who's in his city who has coached Michael Jordan and coached billionaires and all this stuff. And so he reached out to the guy or his team and was like, I'd really like to pay for this guy's time or, pick his brain about some topics. I'm happy to pay. And they're like, no, right? And he's like, or they said something like, he's not available right now, follow up in 6 months. And my coach did. And they're like, oh, okay, well, he can only meet in February and he can only meet at this time on this date. And he wants to do an outdoor walk in February, which it's really cold where my coach lives in February. And my coach is like, sure. And they're like, wow, okay. Well, great. Here's this guy's number and he will meet with you and blah, 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 blah. Come prepare with your questions, send them ahead of time. But the point was this higher end coach was like, you're going to have to jump through a bunch of hoops to prove that you really want to meet with me. You're going to have to meet with me on my time, my agenda, my choosing. And my coach was like, sure, because 99% of the people won't jump through those hoops, right? So again, setting up that idea is what's behind the type form of qualifying people and not just having this wide open calendar where anyone and everyone can talk to you. So anyway, back to the point of this whole episode, the person says in there basically, yeah, I've worked with other agencies. I spent $100,000. It didn't work. I got terrible results. And then at the bottom, right, I say, what level of service do you want? And I kind of give ballpark price ranges. Do you want, free tips? Do you want do-it-yourself online courses for a couple $100? Do you want a done with you, which is kind of a hybrid for, I don't know. It could be, I don't want to quote pricing because now people come back to me in 6 years and go, well, you quoted this price. Somebody did that to me by the way, like they were like, well, I heard on your podcast you said it's X $1,000 to work with you. I'm like, when did I say that? They're like, well, in your 2018 podcast. And I'm like, well, it's 2023. Like, prices have changed. Whoa, come on. You said that 5 years ago. I'm like, so I won't say the pricing, but done for you, we have a price range. And then done with you, we have a price range. And then done for you. And then so depending on what option the person picks, I've learned I need to have another question, which is, why did you choose that option? So another option is none of these are a good fit. Free tips, courses, done with you, done for you. So the person picked none of these are a good fit. Why? And he said, because I've spent $100,000. I don't have any sales. By the way, he also said earlier in the type form, my urgency level is a 10. I need leads yesterday. My hair is on fire. And he also said, I really want your done for you option, but because I've been burned by all these other people, I don't have the funds to do it. So what I wanted to say, and this is what I've learned. So I wrote back the person an email, and that's going to be the topic of this podcast, is I've kind of walked through all these different strategies. But I and I've done this on live sales calls, because again, when you're in that chair, what you find is you've got to overcome all the baggage the person has had with other vendors just like you. So if a person has had lots and lots of bad customer service experiences with house painters, and you're a house painter coming to the door, their guard is up. They're worried. They're like, oh, I've been ripped off 100 times by you guys. What, you're out to get me, right? And so it's no different when I'm sitting down with them and they're like, I've spent $100,000 on LinkedIn agencies. It's never worked. I'm very skeptical of you. So then I'm going to put up this list of demands. I'll only work with you, John, if I only pay per this, and I only pay if I make a sale, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and you've got to guarantee me this and guarantee me that. And what I've learned is two things. One is I want to immediately make myself relatable and validate that person so they understand I get it, because I've been in the trenches. I've owned my own business since 2012. And so I told the story in the email that I've told before many other places. When I was first starting out with Nemo Media Group and just on that revenue roller coaster up and down, and I had quit a safe 6-figure day job. I started with one client, enough money for 30 days. And my 3 boys under the age of 10 were at home. My wife was at home taking care of them. It was on me. Like, I had burned all the ships. I didn't have any big savings. I didn't have any investors. I was scrambling. I was hustling. I was chasing. And some months were good and some were bad, up and down, up and down. And early on, when I started really getting into using LinkedIn lead generation, and I wrote a book, LinkedIn Riches, and created a whole online course, which at the time, online courses were all the rage. And everyone was talking about, man, you can just print money in your sleep with online courses and have this whole automated funnel. So you do an automated on-demand webinar and you get traffic, you get people to the webinar with Facebook ads. Oh, it's so simple. You'll make millions, right? You see all the Facebook ads, selling Facebook ads, right? And so, of course, I really was like, yeah, this is going to work. Like, I'm going to go all in. So I spent over $40,000 on Facebook ads. I used 3 different agencies. I put it all on a personal credit card because I didn't have a huge bank account. I didn't have a bunch of savings. My business was still really new. And I did all this work in multiple months and multiple agencies and went through all these different things, spent $40,000, and I made approximately 0 sales. Approximately 0. And that stung. That really stung, right? And I mean, to this day, a dozen years later, I still have PTSD if you mention Facebook ads. I'm like, oh God, no, I will never, right? If you were a Facebook ad agency and you want me to work with you, I would be like, running the other way, screaming, right? So I related that story to the guy. I'm like, I've been in your shoes. It sucks, right? And so that's part one, is like, I've been there. I've spent a bunch of money on marketing and it didn't work out. I realize that leaves a scar, that leaves a wound. So when you go to somebody who provides the exact same service, you've got that baggage. So I want to be aware of that before I talk to you, so that I know that's another objection or obstacle I have to deal with. It's not my fault, right? I have my LinkedIn agency. I don't know this person. I've never worked with them, but they're coming into me with extra baggage. So it's like, okay, if I'm going to try to get you to work with me, we got to work through your baggage, your mental baggage, emotional baggage with these other LinkedIn vendors. And we got to find out why it didn't work. And that was the next part of the email. I said, well, if you've really spent $100,000 on lead generation, with LinkedIn agencies and things like that, and you got terrible results or very few, if any, sales. And I said, you'll permit me a little bit of just not tough love, but I just said some straight talk, and again, I had just shared my own story. And I said, there's really only a couple of reasons this has happened. You either have picked the worst vendors on earth and every agency has been the problem and they're terrible and they've ripped you off, or you're the problem. I mean, I don't say it that bluntly, but I basically say either you've had the worst luck ever in picking, vendors and LinkedIn agencies, or there's an issue on your end, meaning they did deliver leads, but you don't have the ability to close. You're not good at sales, or you don't have a good back end and you didn't do the right thing with each lead. You didn't follow up. You've got mindset issues about asking for sales. Like all of that I've learned and know. And I also told another example. I said, in this specific niche that this person was in, I said, we've worked with lots of clients in your niche. It's a type of consulting. I said, our best consultant in this niche over the last 12 months has done about $650,000 US in sales from our leads. Like literally the testimonials on the website, all that stuff, right? So like you can see they're talking about that. I said other consultants in the exact same niche over the same 12-month period have done 0 sales with us from our leads. And I said, it's the exact same type of lead. It's the exact same quality of lead. It's the exact same strategy. It's the exact same lead qualification process. It's the exact same approach to all the custom content we create. It's the exact same tools. It's the exact same systems. Like, so we're not doing anything different. I said, what I've learned through that period is, why does one consultant in this niche do 650 grand in sales, and then the other consultant with the same, not the exact same leads, but the same type of leads, same qualifying, all that, do 0? Well, the obvious answer is it's the consultant. And what we've learned, right, in, doing an autopsy or whatever you want to say, like on a campaign where the client didn't make sales, is what happened? Like, tell us about your back end. And so we would have clients who were like, well, yeah, you gave me those leads. I called them once. I sent an email and I never heard back. So give me more leads. And I'd be like, wait, what? Like, you called once and left a voicemail, or you sent one email to this lead who said they wanted to talk to you. Like, you didn't follow up or didn't ask us to chase them until they booked on your calendar. No, it's a waste of time. If they're interested, they just would have called me. I'm like, oh my gosh, do you understand sales? Do you understand the fortunes in the follow-up? And that, my personal philosophy with lead generation and sales is I either follow up until you give me a hard no. I'm not interested anymore. I found something else. I'm doing a different thing. I retired. You either give me a hard no, or you say check back in 6 months, and I will make a note and I will check back in 6 months, or I'm dead. I will follow up until I'm dead, or I get a hard no, or you tell me when, another date. And the reason is people are busy. People aren't thinking about you all the time. And oftentimes you learn, if you do enough follow-up, people are thankful. Oh man, thank you so much for following up. Life has been crazy. I was in the hospital. My so-and-so got sick. I forgot we had a vacation. I got slammed with business stuff. It got pushed off, but I still really want to talk to you. Thanks for following up. Like, it's you have to be dogged, right? And so like we had clients that were like, well, no, I just want it easy. And I just want people to court me and seek me out. If I put out one email, they should just buy. I was like, it doesn't work that way, right? So it's like, that's what we've learned over the years is like, who has the right mindset? And the best clients would say to us, hey, like, can you help me? Can you help me develop a follow-up method? Can you chase the people? Can you get them booked? I'll report back to you if they don't book a call or if they don't show up or whatever. Like, yeah, of course, that's what we do, right? And those are the clients that have the best success. So they basically said to the person, like, it's one of those things. Either you have really bad luck in picking vendors, or you're the issue, right? For one of these reasons. And I said, I know in my experience with the Facebook ad agencies, I was the problem. Like, I obviously didn't have the right pieces in place on my end in terms of my offer, my funnel, my audience targeting. I didn't have things figured out enough. And so it really comes down to understanding, who's at fault here. And you got to understand, and this is something my business coach has drilled into me for years, and I've lived it, you win or lose based on client selection, and that the quality of your clients determines the quality of your life. And I've really learned the hard way, because again, we all get into wanting to be competitive and close a deal and win a sale, or man, we have a scarcity mindset. And I'm even though I shouldn't do this, I'm going to change my pricing, or let this person change rules or change our processes just because I want to get them over the finish line. Inevitably, every single time, 100 out of 100 times, that has been a mistake. No matter what I've done, no matter how much the client paid, when there's those red flags, when we've changed processes, when I've ignored that this person is blaming all the other vendors, I have paid for it myself, right? So again, that's why I wanted to share that. And for so many people that I talk to, especially small business owners and consultants. I want to say this too. It's like, it's not your fault. Like, you have to learn. Like, I had to learn the hard way after $40,000 and 3 failed Facebook ad agencies. Oh, this isn't going to work for me. Right. So one of my best clients has worked with us multiple times. Some campaigns have done well, some have not done well. And he still comes back and he says, well, listen, it's marketing. Like, sometimes it's going to work, sometimes it's not. We're going to test, we're going to adjust, we're going to tweak, we're going to see, and that's at its essence what marketing is. You have an idea, you think, right? And then you test it and tweak it and adjust it. And what I've learned too is you just can't give up, right? Like, eventually you're going to figure it out. It's just, how far do you want to go? How much do you want to spend? How quickly can you get there? And again, obviously, we know, having done this for years and years and years, oh, you're in this niche, you do this type of service with this audience. We know on LinkedIn, that's a winner, right? If you're in this random weird niche we've never heard of, trying to appeal to this real random weird audience, that may or may not work. We're happy to do it. And we're happy to test and learn, but I will not say, yeah, I've done this 100 times, it's super easy. I don't know, right? And so what's been cool about that is we found some incredible industries and some incredible wins with clients where they were, in essence, kind of the first time we did that, right? Because at the end of the day, what I've learned with LinkedIn, and I'm going off a little tangent, but with B2B lead generation, at the end of the day, sales is sales, right? Marketing's marketing. Like, if you find someone who has a need for a service you provide, if it's a business to business type product, 99.9% of the time, LinkedIn's going to work great. But there's so much nuance within that. Just because you can find the audience on LinkedIn, who's the decision maker? How do you communicate with them? What do they really want to know? Do they need to see content? Is it more a yes or no decision because it's a commodity that you're offering? It's not a big deal. Is it a timing thing? Is it seasonal? Do they have to go through vendors and RFPs and approval processes? Is this a government entity with all these requirements? There's all these different nuanced things. And where I find we have the most success is when the client really knows his or her stuff, knows his or her back end, knows his or her audience, and says, listen, in this part of the exercise we do when we bring new clients in, we say, like, tell me about your best clients. Tell me about the people you love working with, where you're like, I wish I had 100 Sallys. If I could just get 100 more Sallys, I would never have a problem in the world. Oh, well, here's why I like Sally. This. I'm like, okay, those are characteristics that you can tell me that we can use to qualify people, right? This type of role, this type of job, this type of mindset, this type of viewpoint on marketing, all these different things. And again, that's how you can qualify. So all of this to say, you've really got to do your homework qualifying before a call, because otherwise you're doing it in real time and kind of scrambling. And that's why, as much as I wanted to just jump on the phone with this lead and say, of course I can fix you. We've had so much success in this niche on LinkedIn with consultants just like you. I looked at his type form and said, ooh, there's a lot of baggage there. There's a lot of pain there. There's a lot of misery. There's a lot of mistrust that I would have to be kind of, it's almost like, don't punish me for all your bad relationships in the past. If we start dating, right? You're coming in, people bring all their baggage. Like, you just can't not do that. I'm the same way when I go to buy a car, right? I've got every bad used car sales experience in my head. And this might be the nicest, most honest, trustworthy car sales guy on earth. But I got my guard up. I got, my swords out. I'm ready to fight, because I'm like, I've had so many bad experiences buying a car. I got my, agenda and my guard up and my baggage. And so again, it's just a great process to walk through, and I hope you find it helpful. End of the day, big takeaways. Remember, qualify. Reverse engineer all your sales calls, reverse engineer the biggest objections, reverse engineer the biggest reasons people didn't move forward with you, and put that into a type form before you ever get on a call, right? And do it in a way where it's easy and fast for the other person to answer. Don't make them write out huge paragraphs. You can make it multiple choice. You can make it a scale of 1 to 10. You can make it something, just click here, whatever, and then they can get through the form quickly, but it will save you so much time and energy. And oh, by the way, if you do hop on the call, you're prepped and you're ready, because oh, they're coming in with baggage about this. Great. Here's my answer for that. I've prepped on that. Here's how I'm going to explain how we're different, unique, whatever. We're not like that other agency that did it the way you said. On and on it goes. So thanks so much for listening. Hope you find this helpful, and we'll see you soon on another episode.